like you. I'm just here just like you. But I just help to put this together. So, I'm not part of this in any shape or form. I'm a local councillor and part of CWO, so I look after everybody else. So I look after health, so hence my input. Yeah.
Evening, everyone. And as is our greeting here at the Brahma Kumaris, we say Om Shanti, which means I am peaceful. So greetings of peace. Just wanted to share with you some of the house rules. For those of you here for the first time and not familiar with this space, the way you came in is the way to go out in any emergency. And the toilet is down the corridor on the left. You would have seen water fountain as you walked in. And rest of the things, just sit back, relax and enjoy. Do you know our theme this evening? Oh, that's true. Okay. Okay, and do you know our speakers? Sister Jayanti, yes, everybody knows, or many of you know Sister Jayanti, some of you don't know. How many of you here for the first time? My God, that's nearly half of you. That's special welcome, special welcome. So just to get an idea, how many of you heard through Facebook? Not many. And how many of you heard through Councillor Ketan? So that's a good number. And how many of you heard through our website or through, I don't think we did any leafleting this time. Okay, website. And friends, WhatsApp. WhatsApp and email. Okay. You saw it in the newspaper, so we wanted to get an idea as to what's working to reach out to people. So all welcome, and special welcome to our invited guest, Mr. Mayor, and many of the councillors are here, and a lot of the dignitaries from the health professions are here. So actually, Councillor Ketan is going to be, looking out and facilitating the whole program this evening. For me, he's like a friend, and we've been wanting to hold an event here together here or at Friends Civic Center in terms of regarding to health and youth. So we're very happy that this has happened. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Mr. Mayor actually first, His Worship Councillor Ernest, to share a few words of welcome and greetings, and then ask Ketan Bhai to take over. Okay?
Shanti. My name is Councillor Ernest Ezajui. I'm the Mayor of Brent. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for the organizers, especially my fellow councillor, Councillor Ketan Sheikh, who actually sent the invitation to me and said, oh, there's an event happening here, which he would be glad to see me. And the minute I walked in, it looks like what he said was exactly what I've already noticed without even the program starting, because it looks peaceful, calm, and I'll see by the end of the event, I will now make my conclusion. So thank you very much for the organizers. I do know that today we have a very important event or topic, which is emotional well-being. You see, in life, if you're not running from work, you're running from childcare, you're jumping from one train to another bus, we never have time to half an hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, without thinking anything. Might be something most of us will learn today from the topic. Today we are to learn more about our wellness and well-being, which seems to dominate everyday discussion among peers and families. All of these things is very important. I do know that it will improve our physical health. But we must remember that spiritual and emotional well-being is important in our life.
Thank you very much.
So, brain, as you know, is very diverse. Brains, we have a population of over 335,000 residents. And this number I'm stating, we've got so many people from different culture, different religion, from different ethnic groups. And that's will bring me to one of the most important things I want to say. Despite the diversity of brains, in my everyday as a counselor, as a mayor, what I've seen and what we still preach is that unity. And we've got that unity in brain, despite the diversity of this borough. In our schools, about 149 languages is being spoken in brain schools. That will show you how diverse this borough is. So, coming back to the topic, I think it will be a very good thing to take up. That we run around, we think about politics, we think about healthcare, we think about rubbish on the street, potholes. We still have to give ourselves time. We still have to give ourselves that few minutes to think about our emotional well-being, which is one of the major things why all of us have taken this evening to be here. I will not take much of the time. I will conclude by saying thank you again for the organizers, and I would like you to extend this not only today. Let's try and move it a bit bigger so that we get more population of brains to attend, and we see the changes it will make in our lives. So please, let's listen and see what the package is all about. Thank you very much.
Before I hand to Councillor Ketan, I'd just like to mention a few things about the organizers, along with the NHS, about the Brahma Kumaris, because I understand many of you here for the first time. Okay. So the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University, as it's known, teaches Raj Yoga. It's a type of meditation, a way of experiencing peace of mind. So very much connected with the topic this evening, and a positive approach to life. And it provides opportunity for people from all religious and cultural background to explore their own spiritual skills and reflection and meditation that's based on Raj Yoga and philosophy, which can help them to develop inner calmness and clear thinking and personal well-being. So you come to the right place, and yes, I think next we should think of Brand Civic Center, the conference hall. Right, so we're happy to support you, and our next event could be there in terms of the health. And in terms of the place you come, it's an information center. It's called Inner Space Information Center of the Brahma Kumaris. And how many years do you think we've been here? For those of you who are new here for the first time, how many years do you think we've been here?
30 years.
10 years? Yeah. It's been 23 years. We opened in 96, so 23 years. So very soon will be 25 years. So 23 years we've been serving the multicultural society, and so all are welcome, and many of you would have got our events guide, so do look and come for as many programs as you can. So now I'll hand over to Kit.
So hello and Om Shanti, friends. As I look around the room, I'm absolutely overwhelmed with joy that so many of you have joined us this evening. And my thanks to each of you, and indeed to our Mr. Mayor and Sister Janti Ben. Most of you will know me. My name is Karen Chef, and I'm the lead governor of Central and Northwest London NHS Foundation Trust, which is the largest NHS integrated health provider trust in the UK. I'm also Brent Council's Chair of Community and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee. Through those forums, I have had huge privilege of being invited time and again to Brahma Kumaris, and my thanks and appreciations to Sister Daksha Ben and Sister Nidhi Ben. As you all know, this wonderful borough is home of Wembley National Stadium, one of the world's most iconic venues, which will host the UEFA football competition next year. It's also home of Wembley Arena, another iconic venue where recently thousands gathered to hear Sister Shivani's inspirational talk. And next year, friends, Brent will be the London Borough of Culture. With such world-class places on our doorstep and so many exciting events on the horizon, you would think that Brent residents are most satisfied and happiest. Well, I'm sure they feel pretty good about themselves most of the time. But it's not just because of the stadium. If you're wondering why, let me explain. On my committee, we looked at the issue of emotional health and well-being and found that how we cope with significant life events such as the death of a loved one or manage our day-to-day mood, feelings, relationships, and self-esteem are fundamental to our feelings of well-being. Also, feelings of happiness, contentment, enjoyment, curiosity, and engagement are qualities of someone who has a positive experience of their life. Equally important for well-being is our functioning in the world. Experiencing positive relationships, having some control over one's life, and a sense of purpose are important too. The challenges of good emotional health and well-being are different at different stages of our lives, and what we do or don't do can make us feel better or worse. And I'm sure Oskan, Priya, and Sister Jente will be talking about this in more detail shortly. In Brent, we are promoting what we can do to feel good at any stage of our life. And we embrace the New Economics Foundation's approach called 5 Ways to Well-being, which are the 5 actions we can all do in our daily lives to help us feel better. They are connect, be active, take notice, keep learning, give. Firstly, it means connecting with the people around you, such as family, friends, and neighbors. Or it could be getting active by going for a walk or run, cycling, playing a board game, or gardening. By taking notice, it means being curious or appreciating what is beautiful in nature, such as a sunset or the changing seasons. Keep learning is about taking up an evening course or learning a new language at home. Finally, the action of giving is about volunteering or doing something for others. Even just a little act of kindness, such as holding the door open for strangers. But in Brent, my colleagues in public health have added another one, create. So now we call it 5+1 Ways to Wellbeing. Creating is about the satisfaction of completing something, for example, knitting, finishing off a puzzle, Another example is our recovery work through football, which Prince William came to see a few days ago. So friends, while in Brent we are proud of our world-class venues, we don't have to visit them to improve our emotional well-being, although I accept watching a fantastic England game will certainly help. In short, we usually have what we need around us, and they can be quite simple steps to better our emotional well-being. Thank you, friends. So now I am shortly going to invite Özkan Gedik to come forward and give us his take on emotional well-being. And by way of a short introduction, Özkan Gedik is a clinician based at Brent Talking Therapies, which is part of Central and Northwest London NHS Foundation Trust. Although he's based in Kingsbury, his work is right across Brent, and he specializes in mindfulness and compassion. So, Oscar, we are looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you very much. And just in case you don't have the program in front of you, after Oscar, I'm going to be asking Priya and Sister Jenti, and then we will have a question and answer session, and that will be followed by meditation, and finally we'll have the opportunity of having our Choli. That's the evening. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program this evening. So, Özkan, if you want to come forward, please.
Thank you. It's the bottom one, isn't it? Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting us, and it's an honor to be here this evening. We've only prepared a very brief presentation. We're not going to go into any details. As you know, the mental health difficulties or emotional difficulties varies, and we can talk. We can spend a whole evening just talking about one. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about two concepts. One is anxiety, one is depression. Some basic information about anxiety. We all suffer from anxiety, although anxiety is not meant to be causing us distress, but it can. It's a useful feeling. Certainly we appreciate the functions that it provides us. But when it becomes excessive, then it can actually get in the way of us doing our normal everyday tasks. And in terms of statistics, 1 in 4 people will suffer from an anxiety disorder in their lifetime. And some of the symptoms include feeling tense, nervous, not being uncertain and fearful. And as I said, under the umbrella of anxiety disorder, there are a number of different anxiety disorders, such as a generalized anxiety disorder, mainly about worry, panic, obsessive-compulsive disorder, health anxiety, phobias, and many more. And these symptoms will significantly be affecting your quality of life. The main, especially when we are talking about anxiety, but I, over the years, have come to realize the importance of fight and flight more and more, and it actually offers the base to some very important modalities like compassion-focused therapy, and they effectively base their understanding of human psychology and how to recover from difficulties by understanding our brain and how our brain leads us to various difficulties by being a bit tricky brain, they call it, because of the connection between our threat system, which is placed in our old part of the brain, and our frontal, which is the modern brain. The conflict between the two of them often makes our life fairly difficult. And when we talk about fight and flight, the basis of it is incredibly primitive. It is there to protect us from real predators. But now that we are living in modern societies, we've got much more developed brains, the fight and flight no longer serves the original purpose, but keeps us either worried or avoid situations because of being judged, because of failing, because of worrying about things that may or may not happen. The unfortunate thing is that every time we go into these places, fight and flight literally kicks in, and often with the physical and emotional barriers, it stops us from doing things that we would like to achieve. And the side effects, as I said, it's a primitive system of fight and flight, and it tries to protect us from real danger. And of course, when I am standing here and worrying about some of you judging me, and my fight and flight kicks in, and I won't be able to run away. I can choose to run away, but when I don't, I'm going to experience all these things, and which will interfere with my performance, with my health, and with ongoing, with my ongoing quality of life. And usually, we are both Priya and I come from cognitive behavioral therapy model, and we love our formulations and writings, and we always try to understand by writing rather than just thinking and talking. When we have a thought like I can't cope, the appropriate emotion would most probably be anxiety, and amongst other emotions, and our body immediately responds to this feeling by getting tense or preparing, and the behavior then involves maybe avoiding doing things, avoid social situations, hence getting into a terrible, unhelpful cycle of behavior or being that we can't quite shake off our anxiety. Later on, we are going to get experience of mindfulness here. It is something that I personally also have been trying to practice, and we've also implemented at work. It is, and there are loads of research into mindfulness, breathing, and how powerful it is in managing various mental health difficulties or emotional difficulties. So some of the relaxation techniques involve controlled breathing, and again in mindfulness and meditation, breathing is a big part of it. Progressive muscle relaxation, if you've not heard of it, it is basically tensing and relaxing certain muscles around your body, whether it is your hands or your shoulders or the muscles on your face. You're sort of tensing it, let's say, for 5 seconds, releasing it. By doing this, when we are in a fight and flight, like the mayor said, we are always running. In that running, our threat system is constantly preparing us for something real dangerous. So therefore, we don't even know that we are tense. And often I find myself, my shoulders up here when I don't need to be. I'll have to remind myself to drop my shoulders, which even just doing this action gives me a sense of comfort. And as I said, yoga, gentle exercise, visualization, music. And I'm not going to go through this, but there is apparently a technique. Perhaps Sister can tell us whether there is such technique when you are taking us through. But some people, I think the numbers sometimes differ. Some people say give equal numbers, 5 in, 5 out, but this is what I have as a slide, and perhaps you can confirm if it is true or not. And then depression, we all talk about it. We all say, I feel depressed today, and often we might refer it to feeling a little low, not necessarily full-on depression, because full-on depression is very, very painful and very difficult to just get out of. And again, 1 in 5 people suffer from depression in their lifetime, and some of the symptoms are feelings of sadness and low mood, which is persistent over the past 2 weeks. It's not like something that you come in and out, which we all do throughout the day, throughout the weeks, but it has to be persistent over the past 2 weeks. And low motivation, sleep, tiredness, social withdrawal, negative thoughts, all these would be interfering with your life. So again, one of our, when you're feeling tired, lethargy, pain, effort in your body, that will promote, these are all connected. You can't possibly have these things and then also feel ecstatic and wonderful. Doesn't quite work that way. And when you are feeling sad, despair and numbness, and your thoughts aren't going to be, again, what a wonderful day today. Your mind is going to call on either sad memories or fairly negative orientated thoughts. And as a result, you're not going to feel energized. You're not going to want to be doing things. Very naturally, very understandably, you want to withdraw. And when you do that, you'll get yourself caught in a depression cycle, because then when you stop doing things, as it explains here, depression, you'll feel low in energy, decreased activity, and then you will start feeling bad about things that you weren't beforehand, because now you're even doing less. Then that will contribute to more depression, hence you'll get into this awful cycle. And the reversing it, who was saying earlier on, when we were talking, the other sister, one of our workshops, she took away the phrase planet. Follow the plan than the mood, especially when you're feeling incredibly depressed. And you hear from people, I'm just waiting to feel a little better. I'm just waiting for that emotion. And unfortunately, that doesn't come. You have to be doing things even if you don't feel like it. And Caitlin explained loads of different things that we could do to be helping ourselves. Even if you feel okay, even if you don't like doing it, by doing things gradually, you are able to reverse that cycle. The emotion will come later, I promise. It may not immediately, but it will come if you persist, if you persevere with your activity scheduling. When you are doing it and when you're depressed, it is also important to make sure that you do it. So you don't just say, I'll see how I feel tomorrow. No, you will make a plan. You will say, 9 o'clock I'm going to get up, have something to eat. 9:30 I'm going to go just for 10-minute walk around the block, and then come home, rest. Maybe in the afternoon I will call a friend. And the idea is that also to make it gradually increasing the difficulty so that you don't feel overwhelmed. It is something that you can do, but not feel overwhelmed. And then gradually increase the demands on yourself. And of course, when we are doing this, that it needs to be balanced, because as the mayor suggested, we probably run around most of the time having mainly one thing in mind, achieving or accomplishing certain things, whether it is to do with job, especially if you've got high-powered job. You probably are, even when you're at home, you're still thinking the day ahead or how the day went. That is not going to offer you a good, balanced life. So to be able to have a good, balanced life, it needs to include various different things. So while we can't be having fun all the time, because that will also get boring at some point, we can't be constantly doing the necessary things, because then it will take its toll on us. Then also we have the routine things, like when you go home you have to do cooking and cleaning, washing up. So there has to be some elements of throughout the day that you do, that it can, and then we automatically do it anyway. If you remember from your own experience, you will tell yourself, oh, I work very hard, I deserve a little break. And then you will sort of like put your feet up and have a cup of tea, for instance. So balance is an incredibly important, I'm going through very quickly all this. And as I said, it's really important to make sure that these are not just planned in your head. So it's useful to write it, whether you have a diary or something things that you're going to do that is going to help you to overcome your difficulties. And just one last thing, that we as a service, we do not provide emergency services, but there are services that are out there for anyone who needs immediate help, and one of which is any hospital, and we call a spa, and your GP. Thank you.
Oskan, really am grateful to you for that very interesting and educational oversight. Friends, our next speaker is Priya Rajendran, who is also a clinician, also based at Brent Talking Therapies. She works very much in community, promoting talking therapies right across Brent. And Priya, we are grateful to you for all the work that you are doing in community. And if you come forward, please. Thank you.
Hello all, good evening, and Om Shanti. Right, so I'm just like Oskan, I'm a CBT therapist, that means cognitive behavioral therapist. So, So I just want to talk to you about who we are, IAPT service. Has anyone heard about what IAPT is? IAPT? Maybe. Okay, it stands for the Improving Access to Psychological Therapies. It's a program that began in 2008. So we offer help for people who are struggling with common mental health problems such as stress, low mood, depression, and anxiety. So anyone over the age of 18, really. So just some stats there. In the past year alone, I guess about 1 million people access IAPT services. We mainly offer evidence-based psychological therapies, and we are all trained. So we are what we call a primary care service, so we're different to secondary care. So what I mean by that is we work within the community with the first step after you see a GP if you need help with your mental health difficulties, really. This is some stats about, I guess, referral that we received, how many people we've seen, and also some recovery data there as well. As you can see, for the first quarter, about over 2,700 people referred themselves. 57% of them actually referred themselves. We do get referrals from GPs as well. And we actually, of all these people that we've seen, about over 50% of them recovered. Okay. More so about what we actually offer. So once you're a GP or you refer to our service, we assess your needs. So we want to think about what we can offer you. Once we understand your needs, then we think about what might be suitable for your, to address your sort of difficulties. So there are a range of support that we offer: individual sort of self-help, individual CBT. Some of them can be done over the phone, face-to-face, online. We got computerized, therapy as well. We also offer CBT workshops. So this is actually part of treatment, and we do it in our site in Kingsbury. They're mainly around the topic of depression and anxiety, how to manage these kind of difficulties. There's one on just coping with depression. There are a range of different ones as well, especially with the one-off ones, introduction to mindfulness, improving sleep, because often you notice with depression, you may experience sleep difficulties as well, so we offer kind of one-off workshops on that. Apart from CBT, we also offer counselling support. I'll tell you more about the difference between CBT and counselling later on. And often people that we see also may require support with other part of their lives. as in employment or financial sort of distress, so we can actually signpost them, or in other words, direct them to where to go, so within the brand locality really. So at times we actually have referred people to Brahma Kumaris as well, on some of the kind of workshop that you've offered around, I suppose one of the topics I remember, anger management, and also general talks about mental well-being, mindfulness, so we've been actually doing that as well. Right, just kind of brief information about what is CBT. As Oscar was pointing out to you about the cycle that we can get into or trapped into. So CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, literally says the way we think and do affects the way we feel. Hope that makes sense. So I guess with CBT, when you are accessing therapy that way, we will be thinking about how we can actually alter any unhelpful thinking or unhelpful behavior so that we can start improving your mood, your emotional well-being, I suppose, because we believe that we all link to each other. As Oscar was pointing out to you earlier on about when we're feeling rather down and feeling really tired, we don't want to be doing things. We'll be less likely wanting to do stuff. And then we wait until the mood comes, until we feel better. But with CBT, we'll then start introducing you to techniques that might help you to sort of challenge some of these unhelpful thinking that gets in the way, such as what's the point, I can't cope, and then the behaviors that often follows procrastination, avoidance, I suppose maybe other sort of coping strategies, maybe using substance or alcohol, for example. So we'll be looking at how, I guess, learning different ways of coping, really. Okay. Great. The other type of psychological support we offer is counselling. It's a traditional approach. It's very much what we call an explorative approach. So when we assess your needs, we can actually understand whether CBT or counselling would be more appropriate. So because I'm not a counsellor, so I'll try my best to sort of explain. As I mentioned, this is quite reflective, as in help you to sort of find alternative sort of perspective to your difficulties, so then you can move forward, I suppose. So often people suffering depression and linked to sort of a change of life events, bereavement, stress at work, family difficulties, relationships. So these are the kind of issues counselling could help you to kind of adjust to those sort of kind of changes, really. As I just mentioned earlier on, even around illnesses, when you're newly diagnosed with a long-term condition. So at first it is more about accepting that, the fact that you've been diagnosed, and therefore the feelings that follow, I suppose. So counselling will be really helpful to address just that. So how are we improving access? So we are based in Brent, so anybody in Brent who's over the age of 18 can access our service. Actually, recently we've been commissioned to see anybody from different part of the kind of boroughs of London. But of course, logistic-wise, it will be easier for you to live in Brent or work in Brent, so that you can access those support or attend appointments. We offer daytime and evening appointments, and we do encourage staff referral. Quite a quick one, so either by phone or email. Once you refer yourself, we will get in touch with you within the first week and offer you what we call a screening appointment, and then we can assess your needs for, I suppose, psychological therapy. We use a wide range of, I suppose, helpers and interpreters, as we are very much aware Brent is actually quite diverse kind of borough, as you can see. And so therefore, not only we use interpreters, but some of our therapists or practitioners are also bilingual or multilingual, such as me. I speak Malay, Tamil, so I do see clients and treat clients using their mother tongue. There's just simple information about how to access the service if you're interested. Well, we haven't got this opt-in form at the moment, but I think the easiest one would be accessing it through our website. And our website, because we are part of the CNWL Trust, so we are Brent. So if you're residing in Brent, and if it's easier to get there, so you can opt to refer to ourselves. But there's also Harrow, Kensington and Chelsea, Hillingdon, a choice of that you can make. But you also can go to your GP and speak about referral, and they will make a referral to our service. How quickly can you be seen? We've got very little wait for assessment. As I said to you earlier on, once we receive the referral, we will contact you for a screening appointment, and then there'll be a bit wait there between the for the one-to-one session, 4 to 6 weeks. But we're quite good at meeting that. I guess I haven't got the data at the moment, but you'll most likely be contacted within the 4 weeks to be offered the first appointment, which is the assessment. So, and if the more flexible you are, the quicker you'll be seen. Right, that's our address and contact details. Thank you, everybody. And I really am honored to be here in front of all of you to give you the, introduction to what we do as a service. I'm really looking forward to the later part of this event today. Thank you all.
Priya, thank you very much indeed for that very, very insightful talk. Really appreciate it. So, friends, what can I say about our next speaker? I think when Sister Daksha was asking you about our speakers this evening, I think you all acknowledged and were looking forward to Sister Jayanti Ben speaking. So here we are. What can I say about Sister Jayanti Ben that you don't know already or haven't heard already? Well, friends, she is the European Director of Brahma Kumaris with mediation experience of 50 years. 50 years. She's also author of a number of books and the voice of many uplifting meditation commentaries. She's highly respected and articulate international speaker. Her gentle voice, as you will soon be experiencing if you haven't done so already, is profound, and her insights on spiritual solutions to everyday problems have touched the hearts of thousands around the world. She plays a lead role in Brahma Kumaris environmental initiative and assists with overall coordination of Brahma Kumaris activities in over 100 countries. In fact, friends, she was due to speak today at Climate Action earlier today. However, that got cancelled because of logistics, but I'm sure she will be mentioning environmental effect and environmental hazards in one way or the other as she now addresses us. So if you want to, please give a round of applause to Sister Jayanti. Do you want to come forward? Yeah, if you want to take a seat. Sorry. If you want to.
Good evening. Om Shanti. Thank you for that very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, friends, brothers and sisters. It was very, very enlightening to hear Oskan and Priya earlier. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that I would say 99% of all the things that you shared in terms of behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, actually fit in very much with our thinking of spirituality. The essential point that I took from what you were sharing was how thoughts and feelings and emotions impact behavior, but also then behavior impacts our emotions and feelings and thinking. So we often take people through this whole circle, this cycle of how there's this feedback loop going on. Maybe the focus for the Brahma Kumaris has been to help people firstly see what's going on in their mind. And so rather than many other things, and many other things follow and fit in very, very comfortably with what you shared. But essentially that what we can start doing is, maybe we can't start by changing our behavior. Not so easy to change habits and patterns of behavior. But what we can do is start looking at what's going on inside our own mind. And when I say the mind, different people have different definitions even of that word. But for me it means the capacity to be able to think, feel, experience, and so that connection between my thinking, my feeling, my moods, and my emotions is a very straight line connection. But also, where are my thoughts coming from? My thoughts are coming from whatever is recorded within the inner being. And the recording of the inner being, where has that come from? That's come from my actions. And so the things that I've been through and experienced have created a certain pattern within myself. And out of this then comes the thinking, the feeling, the emotions, etc. There's another thing that we bring in which helps us deal with all of these things. And again, it's a strange word to bring in because the translation of that is, again, very open to different aspects. But we use the word intellect. In Hindi, we call it buddhi. And by that we mean the capacity to be able to direct our mind. And I'm not sure whether that comes into cognitive behavior therapy. It does, great. But the way we see this particular aspect, the intellect, I'll just use that word intellect, even though it can mean different things to different people. But for me it means two things in particular. It means the capacity to be able to hold information, and out of that I select, and now it's always information overload. So out of everything that I'm exposed to, there'll be certain things, hopefully, that I'm filtering and saying, this is what is important for me, and I'm going to hold it in that container, that receptacle, which is, it's not a physical thing. It's very, very subtle. But this container holds that information which I find useful, and it becomes knowledge. The knowledge then guides me in terms of the choices that I'm making in terms of my life, my behavior. And instead of just thinking of it then as knowledge, it actually becomes wisdom, the accumulation of experience and understanding. So on one side it's the receptacle, but on the other side it has another role, and that role is that of being able to discern right and wrong. And so where does meditation kick in within all of this? Definitely in terms of being able to be selective about the quality of my thinking, and therefore my feelings, and connected with emotions too, but a little bit different. But certainly my capacity to control, manage, transform, elevate my thinking will determine the quality of my feelings, my moods. But also in meditation what's happening is that the knowledge that I now have about my own inner identity, which we would see as being different to the physical identity, which is totally connected with the physical form of gender, age, race, religion, ethnicity, all of these very external things, even career, profession. How much is your mindset connected with your profession? So what happens when you retire? Have you lost your identity? Or some people think they have. So you can see that it's a very external, and maybe I knew something about my identity before I took on the hat of my career. And so I existed before my career existed, but now my identity is totally caught up with this. And so I'm made redundant. What happens then? You can see that basing my awareness of identity connected with my external form is a little bit sand. It's based on shifting things, and I can't hang on to it or hold on to it. So identity in terms of the inner being, the being that I am. So when I begin to understand that I do have a separate identity to my physical identity, it begins to make a huge amount of difference. It also means that in that awareness of my inner identity, I begin to understand that I can actually start taking control of my mind. A very ancient image that comes up in India, and some of you are familiar with those texts and ideas, is that of the mind as being the wild horse. Anybody experience that? No. Everybody is in charge of the calm, tame horse, right? Not true. So this mind is going all over the place. Simple. I wanted to focus and concentrate so that I can study and pass my exams. And I'm not making a very good job of it. I'm getting distracted and thinking about the television show I'm missing. I'm thinking about the football game, watching or playing, all sorts of things. So how can I control my mind? It goes off to the past and things that have happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's a broken record that keeps playing. I'm worried about today, tomorrow, the future. The intellect are the reins with which this wild horse is tamed. I met a couple from Australia some years ago, and they were horse trainers. And I'd never met horse trainers before. And I was curious, and I asked them, well, how do you train horses? And they said, it's very, very easy. All you have to do is to make the horse your friend. So how do you do that? We whisper sweet things, sweet nothings, good things inside the ear of the horse. For just a few minutes, we start talking to the horse and start telling the horse how much we love him or her and how we're going to be friends and how we're going to treat you very well. We're going to look after you. So we talk very gently and sweetly. And within a short space of time, the horse becomes our friend. And after that, the horse will do whatever you want it to do. And in the scriptures, it talks about the mind being our best friend or our worst enemy. And so you can see why this aspect of intellect and the capacity to know that I actually am in charge of what's going on in my mind, because I am that being within. It's not that my mind is a separate part of me over which I have no control, but no, it's part of me, and I can choose how to direct and manage my mind. So you can see that the whole focus of meditation, in which we are looking at what's going on within our mind, within our thoughts, is absolutely fundamental to well-being. Another thing I'd like to bring in is the whole concept of positive psychology. I only heard about positive psychology maybe about 20 years ago, and I think it hadn't actually started until maybe 25 years ago, something like that, fairly recently. And I was with a woman who had just won the award for the Templeton Prize for Progress in Positive Psychology. So she was speaking, but we had a chat earlier. And I said to her, well, how come we've never heard about positive psychology until recently? And her response was that the negative emotions and feelings are so strong that they come like a sledgehammer. Think about the last time you felt angry about something, even though it may have been something that's unjust. So maybe I thought it was fine to feel very passionate and angry about this injustice. But what did it leave you feeling? What did you feel like after that forceful experience? It was like a sledgehammer. And so it broke up your peace. But also, not only does it come very strongly and forcefully, but it also stays for a longer period of time. And so 19th century, 20th century, most of that period, we had the tools with which to explore negative feelings and emotions. And so psychology focused on those subjects. But it's only very recently that we've had the tools and the technology to be able to explore what's happening when you have positive feelings and emotions. So this is why it's such a relatively new subject. And within that, they were talking about how, she was telling me how, think about, say, you have that momentary experience of happiness. You see something beautiful and your heart lights up and you feel happy. But within a moment, your thoughts can shift and it can go. And so happiness, love, joy, peace, very fleeting experiences, and they don't leave that deep imprint either on the mind or the body. Anger leaves a big imprint on your body, never mind the mind. Other negative emotions the same, but the positive emotions and feelings, they come and they go very quickly. And so they didn't have the tools to be able to measure these things. Now they do. And they've been able to see how there are certain things that can enhance positive feelings and emotions, and other things the opposite. You can have food that stimulates you and makes you feel very good. Chocolate is a good one. So eating chocolate, you have a good excuse to eat chocolate. But just a moment, think about it. Have some chocolate and yes, you can feel good for a short while. Carry on eating chocolate. What happens then? Not only will you start feeling a bit sick, but you'll start thinking about the calories also. So you can stimulate positive feelings and emotions, but they won't be sustainable and there'll be some side effects. So many things like that. Maybe a beautiful sunset, and again, a short-term experience, and then it's gone. Or maybe the clouds come, or maybe the pollution comes, and I can't see it anymore. Either way. But I don't get the experience that I thought I would have. But you said that there's one thing that creates positive feelings and emotions and sustains them and continues to enhance them the more you use it. And her answer was meditation. Only one thing that can generate and sustain and maintain those positive feelings and emotions. And they've, of course, done a huge amount of research, and I have no idea, no intention of taking you through the whole list, but definitely physical health improves when there's the feel-good factor. Your mental capacities are enhanced with the same. Your relationships are improved, of course. All of this is very logical when you begin to explore it. It's very simple. Your work efficiency is enhanced when you're feeling good. your community feeling and concern for community and well-being increases. So on every level, whatever it is you wish to explore, when you're feeling good, things are much better, the world looks better, becomes better also. So what happens in meditation that all of this then comes? Meditation is telling me that the inner being actually has certain natural tendencies. And if I can connect with the inner being, then I can experience those inner qualities in a very simple way, in a very natural way. And when I forget to connect with myself, then I lose touch with that source, that resource that I carry within myself. Mr. Mayor, you are absolutely right. We don't have those moments or minutes of silence or stillness for ourselves any longer. We used to wake up early, maybe have time for reflection, prayer. As a child, my mother would have us sit for a few minutes in silence. At night, again, we would do the same for a few minutes. I don't know many families that do that anymore. They say a family that prays together stays together. Or even a family that eats together stays together. Or even a family that plays together stays together. And all of these things have gone. Modern life and systems, and they've disappeared. But never mind 10 minutes or half an hour for me time to reflect, to connect with myself. It's now become a situation where even when we are walking from one room to another room, or waiting for one patient, client to finish and they've gone, you're just waiting for the next one to come in. Even those little pauses that used to exist between one thing and another thing, well, now we get occupied. We want to check our devices. And we want to see, I heard the thing go and I didn't check it at that time. Let me check. Was it somebody trying to reach me urgently? And if people don't get a response to an email, sometimes within minutes and hours or max 24, they get worried, what's happened? And so you have to tell them it's okay to wait. When it was snail mail, I used to write a letter to India. It took 7 days to get to Mount Abu, 4 days to get to Mumbai, but 7 days for Mount Abu. Then I had to wait for somebody to be free. And then it would take 7 days for a reply to come back to me. And it was fine. The world carried on. Nothing stopped. But today it's become a little bit different. So those moments, those pauses, tiny space of reflection, all that's disappeared. We thought devices were going to make life easier. Well, I wonder. So we don't give time to ourselves anymore. And I think this is one of the major factors for emotional well-being. When I take the time to go inside, I find that space of silence, of peace, that is there within my own inner world. Not just peace, but when I'm feeling truly peaceful, then in that awareness of peace, there's something else that kicks in. And I realize that there's a store of love within my own inner being. Open the door further, and you begin to see that peace and love, and I begin to catch a glimpse of truth. A very different situation to fake news and post-truth, the era that we're now in. But that truth is within. Go further, and you realize that there's happiness inside. I don't have to go shopping to be happy. I don't have to spend a lot of money on expensive clothes or restaurants or anything to be happy. There's a stock of happiness within. All of these things are there within my own inner being, but I don't connect. And so I forget all this. I don't access all of this. And then I'm chasing my shadow, looking for all of these things out there. And so the positive qualities, the positive values, the love, the compassion, the self-esteem, all of that is there within. It does not come from outside. And so even just a few minutes for the self each day is an amazing method of upliftment. And so using my mind in the right way, and of course there's many, many types of meditation available, including mindfulness, and there's a difference between all of these different things, and again you can explore it another time. But this is really the way in which we can see that we can take charge of ourselves and our own behavior, our own lives, dare I say it, even destiny. And definitely when we begin to do this, then we begin to see solutions, not just problems. Councillor Ketan mentioned the environment, and today I was just seeing, they phoned us to say better that our speakers don't come today because they just weren't sure how they were going to manage the multi thousands they were expecting, and there were already by 11 o'clock this morning 2 arrests that had been made by the police, and it was impossible to predict how things would go. But why is it that children are saying, we don't want to study maths, we don't know if there is a future, is studying maths going to be useful? We don't know if there is a future. What have the adults done? They haven't made a good job of it, and so we're not going to stand back. It's our future. So the conditions of the world are very strange. That's a polite word. But what can I do about it? Well, let me do something about myself, and then maybe my contribution to the world can be a positive one. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope you found that useful. I certainly did. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for that wonderful enlightfulness talk into well-being. So, friends, we are now going to have a session of questions and answers. So I hope you were taking some notes as our speakers were speaking. And who wants to kickstart with a question to anybody here on the panel? Councillor Olin Hilton.
Yeah,
Olin?
Yeah, my question is for
Priya.
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 Oscar.
Oscar.